Members, good afternoon. We formed a quorum and it's also our appointed time. Please invite the administration to come in. This is a special meeting of the Financial Affairs Panel. We have two agenda items. The first is briefing by the Secretary for Financial Services and Treasury on the relevant policy address in the CE's 2012-2013 policy address. Please note an information paper issued by the administration. And the second item is to meet deputations in relation to the proposal of the Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited to introduce after-hours futures trading. Let us welcome the administration. Yes, if the administration is ready, the floor is yours, Secretary. And after that, I will give the floor to members for questions. Over to you, Secretary. Thank you, Chairman and members. I'm pleased to attend the this FA panel meeting to brief members on the policy initiatives involving the financial services and the Treasury Bureau. Well, in the past few years, we've seen financial markets being very turbulent, and then the European debt crisis and global economic slowdown and excess liquidity resulting from quantitative easing measures have heightened risk of the financial markets. And sweeping financial reforms have also brought far-reaching and yet unknown implications to the financial sector globally. However, our financial sector continues to demonstrate a high degree of resilience, and financial institutions remain generally stable, indicating the robustness of the regulatory framework in guarding against systemic failures. We will keep an eye on volatilities in the market and, where necessary, take effective measures to ensure financial stability. We are committed to maintaining a stable financial sector and in line with the global market. We will make good use of our competitive edge and will also seize new business opportunities arising from the shifts of economic gravity from the west to the east. We will continue to enhance the quality of our market, and we will try to strike a balance between promoting business of the sector and also protection for investors. We will seize every opportunities brought about by related developments on the mainland in order to tap into new business opportunities and to expand our business base. We have decided to set up the Financial Services Development Council to advise the government on ways of advancing the financial market in Hong Kong. And then we will try to be in alignment with the regulatory systems of other global markets. We're starting from the 1st of April this year, we will introduce Basel III, and Hong Kong MA is preparing related rules and regulations in line with the requirements of Basel III. In order to implement the Group 20 commitments on over-the-counter derivatives regulatory reform, we'll be working closely with the SFC to develop a regulatory regime for the market in Hong Kong. We propose to introduce the legislation to electrical in the first half of 2013. And we have also made the relevant legislative amendments to ensure that our Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited can set up a central clearing platform as soon as possible and to build up the necessary infrastructure to provide more choice and ensure protection for investors, and to enhance the overall competitiveness of our securities market. We're discussing with the Scriptless Securities Market Working Group on a bill to provide a legal framework for the implementation of a scriptless securities market in Hong Kong. Our target is to introduce the relevant bill to LegCo within this year. Regarding market quality and investors' protection, we are working very hard with the SFC to enhance the IPO sponsor system. And for the insurance sector, we propose to establish an independent insurance authority and also a policies protection fund to ensure protection for policies holders. Together with the MPF authority, we will have a basket of short, medium, and long-term measures to reform various areas of MPF schemes, in particular the fees and charges. In the short term, under the relevant legislative framework, within this year, we will introduce a number of administrative measures to lower the cost of trustees. For instance, we are going to approach over 1 million scheme members holding more than one account to encourage them to consolidate their accounts within this year. We will follow up with the trustees in this consolidation exercise. As for medium measures, we will see how MPFA can better fulfill its roles and functions. For instance, should some of the regulatory guidelines be included in the relevant legislation, including the approval of scheme funds scheme, we propose to move legislative amendments within this year. In the 2013-14 legislative session, we will rationalize the number of schemes, and we'll introduce a cap on the fees and charges, and the intention is to launch a public consultation within a year, and the MPFA will consider the supporting measures for full portability of benefits, so the full portability can be done within 3 years. To ensure sustainable development of the financial sector, we will maintain close relation with our counterparts on the mainland, and we have a number of plans. Through ZIPA and other cooperation platform, we will enhance our cooperation with the mainland in terms of exchange and cooperation of products, services, and talents to achieve a win-win situation. And for offshore renminbi business, we'll continue to discuss with relevant ministries and offices on the mainland, and to cooperate very closely with stakeholders to promote and to widen the market, and we will perfect our infrastructure and strengthen our Hong Kong's position as the hub of offshore renminbi business. As mainland futures and various products have become aligned with the global market, we will enhance our role in this process. We'll take measures to encourage international funds, products, and services to focus in Hong Kong, to strengthen Hong Kong's role as a fundraising center, such as development of Islamic bond, promotion of the local bond market, and also to promote asset management business. We will start discussion with the relevant ministries on the mainland to discuss common platform for mutual recognition, and will also improve our corporate insolvency laws and procedures to better manage insolvency matters and to enhance protection for creditors. To facilitate development of the market, last year in July, the companies ordinance was enacted, and the relevant pieces of subsidiary legislation will be introduced to LegCo in phases for implementation in the first quarter of 2014. Regarding tax information exchange information, we are now studying detailed legislative proposals so that we can meet international standards, and then we can expand our network of comprehensive avoidance of double taxation agreements, and we will set the legal framework where necessary. We can have entered into independent tax information exchange agreements with other jurisdictions. We're going to consult the panel in February with intention to submit the necessary amendments to LegCo in April 2013. Thank you very much. Secretary, can we have a copy of your speaking note? Can we have a hard copy of your speaking note, please? Some members have indicated their intention to ask questions. Wai-king, Sin Chung Kai, Kenneth Leung, Charles Mott, Regina Ip, Albert Ho, and Mr. Lam Tai Fai, and Chen Kam Lam. May I suggest that we have 3 minutes each? Mr. Wai-king, Chairman. I'd like to ask about the role of the Financial Services Development Council, FSDC. Is one of the emphasis of CY's manifesto and policy address. What is the role of the FSDC and what is its positioning? Is it a community organization, an advisory, or public body? Secretary, will you be leading the FSDC, or will it be the other way around? Please clarify, because recently there have been different kinds of talks. Yesterday at Cities Forum, it was said that whether it is a white or black cat, so long as it can catch mice, is a good cat. But I think we should be clearly told of the positioning of the FSDC. We have to know what kind and what is the nature of this council. Secretary. Well, when we announced the establishment of the FSDC, we made it very clear that it is going to be a high-level, cross-sector advisory body to the government on how to complement the internationalization of the financial market of our country, and to further develop the advisory services in the financial services industry of Hong Kong. That's the positioning of the FSDC, and also its objective. So the council has held a meeting, and it has also set up working groups.
The FSDC has set up a few working groups to deal with they also have a financial development group. There's also a mainland opportunity group. There's an innovation group. There's a market promotion group, and there's also a human resources group. So the FSDC has convened professionals from different sectors to consult on the financial industry. The government welcomes this work because having industry professionals. Can you tell me who's leading the FSDC? I told you, this is a consultation group. It's like a lot of government bodies. They will provide consultation on certain agenda items. Well, will they respond to LegCo regarding their work? Ms. Sim Mei-lan had said she is willing to communicate with the LegCo, and as finance and Treasury, we can coordinate, and we also have resources to share, and we are also happy to communicate with the LegCo. Before Mr. Sin Chung Kai speaks, I'd like to, I think we're all concerned about FSDC. On 4th of February, Mrs. Cha had promised to attend our meeting, and one of the agenda topics is to answer questions about FSDC. She had also communicated with our panel and wanted to attend, but because of time constraints, we couldn't have so many agenda items. So we would like to see you attend the meeting on 4th of February and ask Mrs. Cha directly. Mrs. Sin Jong Gai. Well, the FSDC, as the Secretary said, it's a consultative group. Well, I suggest the Secretary and the CE, they should rename the Council and call it a consultative group. Then it wouldn't lead to so much criticism in society. We need to give it a proper name. That's my opinion. My question is on paragraph 38 in your paper to LegCo. It's kind of intimidating. It says the Treasury will continue to pursue the following. We'll consider options to broaden revenue streams. And I'm concerned, well, we should have some surplus this year. So what are you looking at to broaden revenue streams? Well, nobody can be too rich. Well, so where will you look at? So what will you look at? We have the budget coming. And even the CE had said that he'll not hand out any candy. But the political parties are calling for tax cut, rent relief, and so on. But you're going against mainstream opinion. You want to broaden revenue streams. So what do you have in mind? Well, thank you, Mr. Sin, for your meticulous studying of the document. Well, the Treasury is responsible for government resource deployment. It examines revenue streams. So in our work, we constantly review the government's finances, its income and expenditure, and the stability is paramount. Every year in the budget, we consult the public on our income and expenditure, and the Treasury will work with the Finance Secretary. So it's empty talk. There's nothing, you're not going to expand the tax base? Are you going to increase the tax bands? Or are you just going to increase government expenses? Now, aside from the environment refuse levy, the garbage levy, a couple of years ago, when Mr. Tang Yingyan was Finance Secretary, he asked about whether it was feasible to introduce a sales tax. Well, every year we conduct this exercise. We do have to keep a close eye on income and expenditure. Mr. Leung Kai-cheung, just now you said the FSDC was a consultative group. So can you tell us? It has no administrative and policy-making roles. Yes, it's very clear, but I can repeat myself. As a consultative body, it has no policy or administrative functions. I think that's clear enough. Well, when you convened the FSDC, you had done some comparison studies of overseas jurisdictions, and on page 20 of the report, they have consulted unions and government departments, but we're concerned, why do you want to set up the FSDC as a guaranteed limited company? Out of the 10 cities that you reviewed, there is no city that set up such a consultative group as a guaranteed limited company. Can you explain that to us? Well, let me explain from my understanding. Of course, the chairman of the study group, the preparatory group, Mrs. Cha, would be a better spokesperson. Well, even though we talked about reviewing different jurisdictions, but their functions are not the same. Some are more like an internal government department. Some are like a consultative group. Some have promotional functions. So in the preparatory committee report, they have analyzed the different jurisdictions. In Hong Kong, we feel the current proposal is appropriate. Now, why is it going to be set up as a guaranteed limited company? The preparatory group is aware that out of the many examples, the City UK model is more appropriate for Hong Kong. So if you look at London and Hong Kong, the legal infrastructure is similar. So there was such a proposal to set up a body. It would have the flexibility to handle its work. But we also state clearly, having the council set up as a guaranteed limited company, it's still a government consultative group. That has not changed. I'd like to add that you said that it doesn't have policy or administrative functions. Then why do you need so much flexibility? I don't understand. Any reply? Well, the preparatory group, they need some research capability. They also need to do promotion work. So they need the flexibility to do that. Mr. Wai-king, I am concerned that the document deals with NFC and scriptless trading and consultation. I would like to reflect that my industry wants more participation regarding the technical aspects, but it seems that there isn't any communication channels. The monetary authority is perhaps more focused on banking and other affairs, but I received a lot of views that in our finance industry development, the IT industry is very interested in assisting us. So I'd like to take the opportunity to reflect these views. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mok. We are aware of your views, and we'll see what we can do to follow up. Ms. Regina Yip. There's a lot of concern about the Financial Services Development Council and what kind of incentives the budget will deploy. But I want to talk about a long-term development issue, and I think the Secretary has not answered that. That is the Chin Hoi area. The mainland media have talked about cross-border loans and Hong Kong people having more participation opportunities. So the Qianhai, how is it going to be mutually complementary to Hong Kong's development? Well, if you can't answer today, you can provide us with a detailed document on the impact, the development of Qianhai on Hong Kong's finance industry. I thank you for your suggestion. We will follow up. We will provide more detailed response. But I'd like to say that in the Qianhai development, the SARG, first of all, is communicating with the industry itself. Second, regarding Qianhai development, there is a channel to reflect Hong Kong views. And how would the Qianhai development dovetail with Hong Kong finance industry development? Regarding the latest Qianhai measures and how it would impact Hong Kong industry, we can meet with members when we have conducted more analysis. Well, I don't want to wait for analysis. Why don't you provide your provide a document on next occasion? We have media reports from the mainland every day. They're progressing full steam ahead. So tell us, what impact it will have on Hong Kong? Well, I am aware that Qianhai also wants to be some regional headquarters. Will it detract from investment in Hong Kong? Could you respond on behalf of the government? For example, what impact will it have on logistics? Do you have an initial response? And on the next meeting, could you provide us with a written response? Well, we'll follow up. And our next meeting, 4th of February, we will have more discourse on this topic. Thank you, Mrs. Regina. That's an important topic. So yes, you can provide a written response. Hao Zhenyan. The IIA, we had talked about this a couple of years, and we had done some public engagement. So what stage are we at now? Do we have something in mind, and are you going to table the legislative work regarding the company ordinance? Regarding the director's address, it was very controversial. Some legislators were reserved about that arrangement, but honestly speaking, it wasn't a controversial topic at the time, so the general public might not be very aware of it. And during voting, this subject was not voted on independently, and the whole bill was not vetoed, even though there's now an exemption from disclosing the director's address. But now recently we have a lot of opinions from the media, from labor unions, and a lot of people are asking for the secretary to review the company's ordinance. Otherwise, there is a lot of opinion calling for vetoing of this subsidiary legislation.
Secretary, just for your information, the subsidiary legislation will be introduced to LegCo in batches for members' scrutiny. Regarding the subleg for company search, well, we have no intention to submit it so soon because given the views expressed, we will discuss with the stakeholders to understand their concern and to see how we can address their concerns. And we will, with the Privacy Commissioner's advice in mind, we'll see how we can balance the rights of the public to know and the need to protect personal privacy. So, can you confirm that you will only introduce a piece of legislation after you have a consensus with various sectors, or not, if not, you'll continue to have the old system? Well, the company's law was enacted last year after a very extended period of consultation, and the law has been enacted. But since there are fresh views, the administration is happy to discuss with various stakeholders. We have approached the Privacy Commissioner, and we've also started to approach various sectors that have commented on the bill. We're trying to understand their concerns. Mr. Lam Tai Fai, thank you. Good afternoon, Secretary. frankly speaking, I'm very unhappy with your reluctance to accede to my suggestion and also that of the sector, and that too is to amend Section 39E to lower their tax burden. But still, you are a financial expert, and you have a lot of expertise in developing the financial services sector in Hong Kong. Now, the FSDC, well, you are a member of the FSDC. Well, will you repeat your attitude towards suggestions to amend the Section 39E? Will you just ignore the advice given by the FSDC chaired by Mrs. Laura Cha? So, all right, how are you going to enhance the acceptability and credibility of this FSDC? So, according to the CE, he will launch a measure whenever it is ready. Now, I'd like to ask you, for the establishment of the FSDC, do you think that it is really ready for launching? Well, there are so many views in the community, and we've just confirmed the status of the council. So do you think that the council or this proposal is ready for launching? Thank you, Mr. Tam. Personally, I don't think that I'm one who pays no heed to people's suggestions. On many issues, I'm willing to consider views expressed by the council and also the relevant stakeholders regarding amendment to Section 39E of the IR ordinance. Well, I think I've already explained to you why I cannot follow to your advice. And as for the position of the FSDC, we would like to concentrate expertise and professionals in the sector in this platform, and that is the FSDC. We hope that we can consolidate views of the sectors using this platform. Views from the sector are diverse. How can we translate the views into effective measures? Well, that takes a process. The FSDC will focus more on study of policy proposals. My bureau will complement the work or will support the work of the FSDC. I think it will be a good chance of interaction or beneficial interaction between the two. That is the bureau and the council. And is the council ready for establishment? I agree that it is well ready. When we consulted the trade, most people were supportive of the establishment of the FSDD, thinking that it is a good way for discussing development of the financial services sector. Do you think there is enough recognition and acceptability? Certainly. Mr. Chen Kamlam, the development of Qianhai will have a major impact on the future development of our financial services. However, judging from the reply by the Secretary to Mrs. Regina Yip's question, a lot of things are not yet sorted out. So the Secretary has discussed with the mayor of Shenzhen, and I think he has really got a rough idea. There are a lot of things Hong Kong have to do for Shenzhen with the Qianhai development. So so there will be a lot of implications on Hong Kong. So Secretary, please conduct an in-depth assessment of the impact of Qianhai on financial services in Hong Kong, so that people here can have an idea and get prepared as soon as possible. And it's also a golden opportunity for the trade, because they will then have the opportunity to gain access to the PRD and also provinces surrounding PRD. And as for the early and trial implementation of some measures, this will not be confined to PRD regions, but the cities in the greater PRD region. So Qianhai is a very important gateway for us, and I hope that the government or the secretary can do more and see whether you can have a thorough assessment of the business opportunities in front of us in Qianhai, so that there can be a more certain future for the sector. All right, the development in Qianhai. Mr. Chen Kam-lam's suggestion is very similar or just identical to Mrs. Regina Yip's proposal. We note the Council's concern, and we will submit our assessment and views as soon as possible. But this can only be done when we have a better grasp of the policies to follow. But we can give an account of the situation to members based on what we know now. We know that the positioning of SAR is such that we should build up mutually beneficial relations with Qianhai, so that Qianhai will be a gateway for our financial services sector to access the mainland market, and we are fully involved in the whole discussion. But we can submit our views to the panel based on our current understanding. Deputy Chairman. So the establishment of the IAA, I think the consultation is now over, but there are still a lot of details to be ironed out. So how would the administration sort out the views expressed? And it is said that the MPF will consider empowering or expanding its power. I know that it has to improve its operation, but can that be done just by enhanced regulation? Yes, appropriate regulation can protect consumers' interests, but over-regulation can hinder the development of the sector. So I'd like to ask the administration, what do you mean by enhancing the power of the MPFA for approving schemes and funds, and how can please make sure that you consult the trade duly? And do you understand what are the difficulties for controlling the fees and charges of schemes? And won't your timetable be a bit too tight? Regarding the proposal on setting up an IIA, we have consulted the industry on the detailed provisions. This is in response to views expressed by the sector. So according to our timetable, we are now compiling the submissions from the latest round of public consultation, and then we will come back to the FA panel to report to you our views. We hope that by the end of this year, we can introduce the relevant legislation to the council. This is the timetable I see it now. And as for the MPFA, well, I will brief the panel on the progress later. And why do we have to review the powers of MPFA? Because MPFA relies on administrative guidelines for approving schemes and funds. We had a consultancy study, and we've also analyzed the recommendations. We are of the view that there are many funds available in the market. Not all of them are designed to meet retirement requirements. We're not satisfied that the design of many schemes are in the interest of long-term retirement objective. In the long term, I think the MPFA should have greater say over the design and coordination of MPF schemes and funds. Currently, they can only do so by administrative guidelines and would want to provide legal backing for that. And as for the cap on fees and charges of funds and schemes, now, if the fees and charges are not reduced, then there is room for us to act, and we will discuss with LegCo. I won't underestimate the difficulties, but I believe such a discussion is necessary. Mr. Kwok, he talked about CTUHK. CTUK is a professional body, and it's also financed by the industry itself, and this is very different from what we have in Hong Kong. And this explains why people are concerned about possible conflict of interest in the FSDC. But I've said similar things to Mrs. Laura Cha, and she's promised to think about this. And I hope that we can have an in-depth discussion with the council next time. And paras 35 and 36 is about promoting or developing the local bond market. I'd like to know what specific measures do we have to develop the local bond market. For instance, how can we increase the transaction channels? Will there be a platform? Will we encourage corporations like the MTLCL and our airport authority to issue bonds? Secretary. We will continue to work through our government bond program. We will review the development and operation of the program and see how we can intensify or deepen the program. The government bond program has already increased the depth and liquidity of the local bond market. And apart from Hong Kong dollar bond, now because of the development of renminbi, we have many renminbi bonds in Hong Kong, and that is a big through. We will see how or what more we can do to enhance our bond market. In the past year, the regulatory bodies and also the Hong Kong exchanges have worked very hard to rationalize or to simplify the bond issuance procedures, so it can be done very quickly now, and we'll see what we can do on the market to enhance the liquidity of the bond market and to increase the public's recognition of bonds.
Well, we do not expect the bond market to be as popular as the equities market, where they have a lot of retail investors. But we will spend our efforts in this area. Mr. Kokake. Well, the Secretary talked about the FDSC, the FSDC. It sounded like a consultative group, but when we asked more detailed questions about its chairperson, Mrs. Cha Ximeilan, we see that this FSDC is a strange animal. We are aware that consultative groups were never established as a council. Our CE now has more than a dozen consultation groups, but why is the public so concerned about the FSDC? I think it's because of its name and its ambit. In the past, if we had statutory bodies, it had to be monitored by LegCo and the public. What you're doing now is that you're trying to avoid the public eye and LegCo scrutiny. You are aware that its first meeting was held in camera, and it was a secret meeting. And it also gave people the impression that it was convened in a very rushed manner. There's also a lot of public opinion that differs from what the Secretary had said. Some people have said that, well, if this is a financial service development council, do we have similar groups or similar bodies? Well, the Monetary Authority does a lot of similar work, whether it's research, consultation, or even law enforcement. So our view is that what the government is doing now not only gives the public the impression that they are trying to avoid LegCo monitoring, they're avoiding the public scrutiny. Another big concern is that the FSDC has bypassed the MA, the Monetary Authority. Some people say that CY has no control over the MA. Mr. Norman Chan was appointed by the previous government. We also have a lot of red capitalists in this FSDC. Well, Hong Kong people have contributed to the 2,000 billion Treasury, and we're concerned that will these funds be channeled towards some investment products that they do not that are not popular with the Hong Kong public. Is there something that, well, you probably have some secret agenda, and that no matter what we ask, we'll never get it out of you. So why do we have this peculiar arrangement of this statutory body? I don't have a lot of time to respond to these questions. Well, this is not as you described. We do have a lot of councils, the Port Development Council, the Logistics Council, the Film Council. I think what the media is concerned about can be explained. This is a consultative group. It does not contain the other functions you described. I told you just now we have the mainland business development, we have a human resources group. So its ambit is very clear. We now, including myself, we have James Tian, James To, who wish to speak. I need to draw a line. At 5:30 we need to meet with deputations. Okay, we'll draw the line then. James Tian. Thank you, Chairman. Regarding the FSDC, there was a lot of public discussion. So the government, if it intends this to be just a consultation body, then they should just call it so. And the second question is about City UK. Just now, colleagues had referred to this. I'm also aware that the FSDC, does it have a sovereign fund to manage? Could you clarify that? It doesn't have funds to spend. It will not divert away from the MA. They will not. Will they be responsible for investing? I think I don't have much objection regarding your composition of the FSDC. We have mainland people. They need to be experts on renminbi and so on. A lot of countries are also considering using the renminbi as a reserve currency. They won't be just looking at the greenback and euro. So having more mainland experts is acceptable. Now, Chairman, I do have a question regarding Tianhai. I need to say, I've been to Tianhai myself. The reason? I need to disclose some interest. If real estate developers have a real estate project, if they have some overseas banks as partners, they are welcome. So So could the government clarify? The mainland officials are promoting Qianhai as a financial district. Do they respect our traditions? They're saying they can. Shenzhen says they can take the whole Hong Kong management system, the legal regulations, everything can be transferred to Shenzhen Qianhai. So, in our interaction, have we pledged assistance to Shenzhen officials to develop Qianhai doing renminbi work? Because Qianhai's promotion work is that they will adopt Hong Kong practice. If that is the case, what is the benefit to us? Well, the Qianhai development, from our government perspective, we support Qianhai development to reach a complementary scenario with Hong Kong. So how do we utilize this opportunity to expand the scale of Hong Kong's finance industry and depth of our industry? This is what we're looking at. So in the future, we have consulted with our mainland counterparts in the past, and we will do so in the future. James Toh, I have a question regarding paragraph 8. Well, this afternoon I had met with Mrs. Cha and her colleagues. I had expressed the following. Paragraph 8 says, having studied local and overseas experience, the FSDC will be set up as a company limited by guarantee. Well, it doesn't say who decided to set it up as a company limited by guarantee. Was it the secretary, the finance secretary, or the CE? Or was it the FSDC convened a meeting? But before they convened that meeting, so I think, was it Mrs. Cha that decided to set up the company by guarantee? So who made that decision? Second, as a legislator, can I require the secretary, if that was your decision, can I suggest that you do not set up the company limited by guarantee? If you're saying it wasn't your decision, it was the finance secretary or the CE or somebody even higher up, could you reflect this view? So that is to not set up the company limited by guarantee. This is very simple. There's a lot of concern. It's a consultative body. Then it shouldn't be able to sign contracts. It shouldn't have investment portfolio. It shouldn't have a body corporate structure. Then a lot of concerns would be alleviated. So can the secretary answer? Can we set it up not by company limited by guarantee? That would enhance transparency. They can disclose what they had talked about. It doesn't have to be so secret. You're just developing, helping the industry develop. Could we have more transparency? Well, the FSDC will be very transparent. They will do research. It will be monitored by the public and the industry. The members of the FSDC are representative of the industry, and they are serving the industry and the general population in the FSDC. So who decided to set it up by company limited by guarantee? And can we repeal this process? The FSDC preparatory committee made a proposal, and I thought it was a feasible option. But no matter what, the FSDC if it is registered by a company, it has to be transparent. Well, who decided? Was it the preparatory committee? No. It's already convened one meeting, but it was already decided before the convening the meeting. Well, I'll respond. The FSDC, set up as company limited by guarantee, that is detailed in a report. It will do market research, promotion, and in the future, if there are new developments, and of course the FSDC will negotiate with the government. It will be transparent. Could he respond in writing? Did they decide to set up the company limited by guarantee in the first meeting? Do you have anything? I have nothing to add. I'll let Chairman decide on how it should report its work. Okay, my turn. I'd like to ask about paragraph 41. Arrangements of relocation of government offices. I'm disappointed with the schedule. You are aware that we are short of land for commercial activities, and we have a significant shortfall of commercial land, especially in Wan Chai Promenade. The relocation of the government offices in the CE Q&A, I had asked that question. I also asked about the Trade Industry Department Tower in Mongkok. When could that be released for commercial use? But the response on the Wan Chai 3 towers, they just say they are looking at it. Well, my understanding is that they are not looking at it. Some 2-3 years ago, the policy address had already made that announcement. And you're still looking at it, well, isn't your progress too slow? So could you respond a little bit on the overall timetable? And do you have any other plans to increase the commercial land supply? So besides relocation of government offices, are there any other areas where you can provide some relief? And the second question is the insolvency arrangements. In your paragraph 37, you said that within this legislative year, you'll introduce the relevant bill. So I'd like to ask you, what's the progress and timetable? You have not conducted any consultation.
The second point about corporate insolvency laws, we intend to conduct a public consultation exercise within this year before we go to LegCo. So the public consultation would start in this year, will be launched in this year. What about the first question? I'll give the floor to Ms. Jie. Yes, the 3 towers, the 3 government office buildings at the Wan Chai waterfront, where there is the Wan Chai Tower, the Immigration Tower, the Inland Revenue Tower. We are talking about 175,000 square meters involving 9 bureaus and departments and 11,000 employees. So there are 3 major users: the Inland Revenue Department, the Immigration Department, and the Judiciary. These departments, now, if they're to be relocated, we have to find a way for relocation first. There are preliminary proposals for relocation of the Immigration Department, the Inland Revenue Department, the Judiciary. And for smaller departments, we propose to have a West Kowloon government offices building for relocating some of the government departments in 1917 and 18 first. But we need to seek funding from LegCo for the construction of the West Kowloon government offices building first. And then in Kai Tak and Chong Kwan O, We also propose to build new government offices buildings before we can have a relocation of the three the offices currently located in the three Wan Chai towers. And we hope that we can secure funding for building the three government offices buildings in a few years' time. So what is the time frame? 2018-19 will be our most aggressive estimate. All right, I think we'll end this part here. As I reminded members just now, we have received a letter or request from members, and Mrs. Laura Cha, chairman of the FSTs, have promised to attend our regular meeting on 4th of February. And now let's go on to the second part of our meeting. Proposals relating to after-hours futures trading by the Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited. Thank you very much, Secretary and your team, for attending this part of the meeting. Please invite the deputations to come in.
入緊嚟㗎，係嘛？入緊嚟，好。咁使唔使講嗰啲咩不受咩保障嗰啲喺度？OK，得，好啊。口頭發言都係會啫。OK。證監有冇？睇下先。證監有冇啊？應該係交易所嘅啫喎，應該唔得咯。證監有兩位，阿梁兆光同埋梁仲儀。咁佢哋講完咧，我哋依然可以發表。係冇錯，但係就未必有太多時間。好，各位。
Deputations, welcome to the public hearing of the Financial Affairs Panel on proposal of the Exchanges and Clearing Limited to introduce after-hours futures trading. We discussed this in July last year, and it is our intention to consult the public with this public hearing. I'd like to welcome you all to this special meeting and this public hearing on the introduction of AHFT. I'd like to welcome the administration and also Hong Kong MA and also deputations to this hearing. So please click on the microphone and earpiece. We have got 22 deputations this afternoon, and we've also got 64 submissions, and all the submissions have been forwarded to members. I will invite deputations or individuals to speak for up to 3 minutes each, and after all deputations have spoken, I will invite the relevant representatives to respond. And then there can be a discussion between panel members and the representatives of the administration. So in view of the large number of deputations present, I have to adhere to the 3-minute speaking time very strictly. So if your time is up, I have to direct you to stop. And if you are not yet done, you can supplement your views by written submissions. We will certainly consider your written submissions. Unless otherwise indicated by deputations or individuals, the Secretariat has uploaded all submissions onto the website of the LegCo And if you have not yet given us a written submission, please do so as soon as possible after the meeting. And may I remind deputations and individuals that your submissions and remarks here will not be protected by the Electoral Powers and Privileges Ordinance. So please be succinct in your remarks, and you don't have to repeat what's already in your written submission. I'll first give the floor to Mr. Chen Chi-Hua. 3 minutes, please. Mr. Movis Chen, thank you. I am a compliance in charge of brokerage in Hong Kong, and I represent myself here. I have 4 points to make in relation to the proposals. First, the introduction of AHFT cannot really achieve its objective. The purpose of futures is to for risk hedging, but at night there is no index and also foreign trading. How can you use futures for hedging? So AHFT cannot really achieve its proclaimed purpose. Secondly, retail investors, well, they do face some risk. According to the consultation paper, they can make use of PPS, ATM, so on and so forth, for increasing the margin value. This is not possible because usually for online transaction there is a limit on the volume of transaction, and usually traders will not affect cash deposit, and that means that would be extra risk for investors. And AHFT may not bring profits to traders. According to the consultation document, the volume of transaction would only account for 15 to 37% of the daytime trading volume. I think this is too optimistic. Now, if the trading volume is too low, then you can't really bring profits to futures traders. Rather, they will incur higher operating costs. Fourthly, do we always have to follow the footpath of world markets? Well, we are very different from other markets. There are many retail investors in Hong Kong. This is very different from the U.S. market, which is led by funds. Well, during night time, there aren't many investors in Hong Kong, and the market might be dominated by overseas speculators. So this is not fair. According to the consultation document, we will end at 11 p.m., whereas in the UK, they start trading at 10:30. So there is only an overlap of half an hour. So how can we be aligned? How can we align with the U.S. market? Well, circumstances are different between Hong Kong and the U.S., so we cannot always use them as a referencing point. So I hope that members and the public understand that AHFT cannot achieve its designed objective. So please be cautious. Thank you. Second, Mr. David Wong, Hong Kong Securities and Futures Professional Association, Chairman and members. Good afternoon. I represent the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Professional Association. Now, I have to stress that we should ensure financial security. Now, we will not talk about a social business or individual interest. All global markets will protect the security of the local market. This is a global trend. They like to talk about global trend. So we should not just follow the footstep of other markets. We don't want to stop globalization. However, our market is regional, not global. This is different from commodities, gold, and forex. There can be around-the-clock trading, and it's difficult to control or manipulate such markets. Now, for instance, there were cases where certain banks in Hong Kong could control forex, and then in other countries or jurisdictions there were similar cases. I will not go into details. Well, big markets, big global markets could have that. And we are such a small market, we have to tread very cautiously. Although our equity, the value of our equity market ranks number 7th in the world. However, we're not as mature and recognized as the U.S. and European markets. Their markets are broader and deeper than ours. If we have AHFT, we only offer futures trading. We do not have a spot market tradings and hedging of other products. And we do not have any data on stress test, and it may also deal a blow to the spot market on the next day. Because for the next day, the futures market starts 15 minutes ahead of the spot market, and there won't be any price limit. And what will happen? Well, in the Hong Kong X consultation market is very misleading. It did not mention margin, making up the margin, and also the price limit. Okay. Now, even if we are to introduce AHFT, why don't we have early and trial implementation and start with 5% first? And according to the Hong Kong X, how has it arrived at this positive negative 5%? Well, they made reference to overseas markets, but again, it's very different. Oh, your time is up, Mr. Wong. Mr. Hong Heng Fai. Members, I think we should accord priority to the security of a financial market, and our market is not fair. During the bidding period, you can see that HSBC could reach $33, but it is it's not true. And during AHFT, there is no hedging in the spot market. So how can you say that it can be for hedging? And in the morning, it starts 15 minutes earlier than the spot market. And overseas, they can manipulate the interest rates or forex rate, even though it is such a big market. Well, our market in Hong Kong is so much smaller and is vulnerable to manipulation. In 1987, who footed the bill? The community of Hong Kong. If we have HFT, and if something goes wrong, who is to be accountable? And the ADR of US, well, it cannot really be a useful reference, and it's so easy to manipulate the market. It's strange, our own operation is well established. Why do we have to start something new? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hong. Next.
主席 Chairman, members, and deputations, I object to the after-hours futures trading. It looks like a beautiful apple, but it's poisonous. You have to be careful. The after-hour futures trading have some loopholes. First of all, it only deals with futures. It has no cash and spot product. There's no reference. It's just a guessing game, and it encourages speculation. It encourages manipulation. And because it doesn't have other derivatives to hedge, so that would also have an impact on equities. It will affect opening prices, and it could lead to a confidence crisis. The 1987 stock crisis was started by the futures, and after hours operates during nighttime. So the equities companies, they will have difficulties liaising with their customers regarding margin payments. The current margins are $56,000, and it can handle about some 100 basis points fluctuation. So now setting a limit at 5%, so one night drop can lead to a loss of all margin payments. So if the negative news continues after 11 p.m. and there's no spot market, cash market, that would lead to a lot of credit default and margin calls. It would impact equities dealers. It would impact on the financial system. So it's not worth it. So if the actions are conducted before 11 p.m., a lot of stop losses cannot be activated. You still have to wait for the next morning, and it would lead to more impact. So on the face of it, it looks like we have more trading hours, but in fact, it creates a period where you cannot conduct trades. This is a dangerous thing after hours futures trading. From the above, we can see that the business is conducted by Hong Kong Exchange, but the costs are borne by the securities dealers. It's not fair. It's not safe for the Hong Kong public. It's an innovative idea. So even if it were to be implemented, we still need a pilot program. We should have a 2.5% volatility to start with, and 2.5% is equivalent to more than 1,000 basis points volatility. So in a normal environment, this is more than sufficient. So if we run across some crisis events or black swan events, we should have a more equitable environment for the public to handle. I have a more detailed written submission for your consideration. Thank you, Mr. Song. Next, we have Mr. Hui. Thank you, Chairman. I strongly object to this proposal. First of all, the Hong Kong Exchange, it had conducted after-hours trading. You should have a recollection of that. So having 30 extra minutes had a lot of negative consequences and to a lot of losses by retail investors. So why do we need to repeat our past mistake and put forward an even more dangerous after-hours trading session? In the last 5 years, the exchange policies, whether it was to shorten the lunch break or to have extended hours or to have renminbi securities, those weren't great ideas. The industry is footing the bill but has no say over the arrangements, and the exchange, before implementing these new ideas, they had not consulted the industry and had not conducted in-depth assessment. It's like a pyramid scheme. You are creating new products and forcing it on us, and ultimately we have securities companies shutting up their business. So on behalf of the industry, I would like to air these ideas. The exchange says they want to implement after-hours trading in order to coordinate our business along to coordinate our activities with our global counterparts. But Hong Kong is still lagging behind. The authorities have no intention to improve that, and they think that by blindly proposing after-hours trading is moving forwards towards globalization. We should be introducing more flexible products. For example, in Singapore, US, UK, besides futures products, they also have CFD products that do not have margin calls. But because of high-risk reasons, the exchange is not proposing these products. And we also see that after-hours trading has a limit of 5%. The financial markets can have 5% volatility. So why would I still spend time and resources to establish an after-hours trading arrangement? You should understand that the majority of investors are coming from the mainland or Western countries, and local investors are only a minority. So in margin calls, the securities dealers have to be monitored by the authorities. They cannot take checks. They cannot they cannot make margin payments easily. So, thank you. Time's up. Next, we have Paul Hilgers.
I'm representing Optiva, a leading market maker firm globally and one of the largest market maker firms here in Hong Kong in derivatives and other cash products. Optiva is a supporter of the after-hour trading, future trading. It just closes a gap to other major exchanges such as CME, Eurex, OSE, and Singapore Exchange. So we're just playing catch-up, and we're not inventing something new here. We should realize that between 10 and 40% of the volume is traded in after-hours trading hours. We see also that liquidity attracts more liquidity, which is good for market participants. If we face at the reasons, if we look at the reasons for after-hours trading future, it is basically giving the possibility for investors to react to events in US and European time zones. And we as market makers often are not able to hedge our exposure in the Hong Kong market. We have to go overseas to hedge certain risk exposures because we don't have access to the future markets here. So what's important for the market? I think it's all market stability is very important. So therefore we support the 5% price limit. Markets can move, but markets also have to be open so that investors can hedge their risk exposure if they need to hedge their risks. So we see that in particular if markets are a bit more volatile, we have to be able to hedge our risk exposure. A price limit below 5% defeats definitely the purpose of the after-hour future trading. And if you look internationally, the 5% is the lowest price limit in comparison with all the other international exchanges. If we look at potential market movement, market maker firms like Optiva will provide liquidity, and in case of unreasonable price movements, we will step in and will put the market back into a balance. On the exchange participant side, in particular the broker side, we need to make sure that they have proper risk controls in place. Those controls are setting appropriate margin requirements, setting the appropriate position limits, setting maximum order volumes, and also to have a process in place to receive margins in time. It is important that we make a decision here that is in the best interest of the marketplace and not for the business models of individual market participants. We want to make sure that Hong Kong remains a financial center, therefore Optiva supports the after-hour future trading initiative. Thank you.
好，唔該。跟住係香港證券學會李女士。
Next we have Ms. Jean Lee from Hong Kong Securities Professionals. I'm speaking on behalf of the association regarding the views of after-hours trading. The after-hours trading doesn't have spot for hedging, and the trading volume is much thinner. So given these conditions, the market can be manipulated by large investors, and small retail investors would face undue risk. We're concerned that the SFC doesn't have sufficient monitoring of the market. The industry believes that healthy development is important for maintaining Hong Kong's status as a financial center. So when the Hong Kong Exchange proposes after-hours futures trading and new products, new markets, they should consider stability first. So we hope the Hong Kong Exchange and relevant authorities have a thorough assessment of market risks, systemic risks, and have backup measures in place. Hong Kong market can be easily influenced. We can be influenced by speculators, and that's a very imminent psychological threat. Regarding Hong Kong X proposing after-hours futures trading, we're concerned about risk control and investors' interests. Are they sufficiently safeguarded? When there is significant volatility, what measures do the authorities have? We feel that if the measures are in place and if they can complement healthy development, then the Securities Professional Association will support after-hours futures trading. We also like to see a regular review of the system. So Hong Kong X, when it proposes new products, it should look after the interests of small, medium securities companies. We should seek a healthy development, a balanced development. Hong Kong being an international financial center, it should create a more diversified portfolio of products. We should provide more business opportunities for the industry, and that is one of the most important factors of growth. Thank you, Miss Lee. Next, we have Paul Wan. I'm speaking on behalf of a financial institution. We actually agree with the proposal. I don't want to repeat what has been said, but I do have 3 areas to speak on. First, risk management. Regarding risk management, after-hours trading has some benefit for customers. Well, if the U.S. and Europe have any volatility leading to a big drop, then after-hours trading provides an opportunity for hedging of their equities on hand. That's one benefit. Regarding the financial institutions, how do we handle risk? Well, like other colleagues, we've done futures trading for quite some time now. We also conduct overseas exchange futures or index products. Our company has been engaged in this business for some 10 years, so our system and facilities can manage margins of our customers, and the exchange has set a price limit of 5%. I agree with that, because if you look at futures margin, it's 70,500. It's about 1,400 basis points of volatility. So if you look at 5%, it's about 1,100 basis points of volatility. So 5% should cover the majority of scenarios. But some colleagues feel that 5% might be too much. I don't think so. If it's too little, then it defeats the purpose of hedging. So I support the 5% price limit. Third, we've heard some colleagues say they don't have nighttime facilities. Well, we can cooperate. We can provide facilities for other colleagues. We can allow their customers to use the facilities, and it would not affect their business. Because when the markets close, we can share the account information. That's all I wish to say. Next, we have Ms. Low. We support the exchange after-hour trading's proposal.
Because we only focus on futures, there will not be extra risk involved. Regarding operation aspects such as margin, well, our company has enough risk management and capital arrangement, so there will not be extra risks. And if HFT, we can have more business, and this will also benefit the overall brokerage sector. Thank you, Mr. Kwan. Regarding the HFT proposals, on behalf of the Shenyin Wanguo Futures Hong Kong Limited, I support the proposals because we can allow better or more efficient risk management by investors, and the price limit of 5% is an appropriate measure to avoid excessive volatility in the market. Although there is another suggestion of 2.5%, we have the view that it is not effective enough in helping investors to hedge. Thank you. Mr. Chen. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm against HFT proposals. Due to the following reasons. First, supply and demand. There is only Australia, South Korea, and Osaka offering futures products. So I believe it's because the operation will have some negative impact on the spot market, because at night the market would not be information would not be very transparent, and there can be unequal access. So there must be another review by the Hong Kong X, because limited information access can lead to a lot of crisis. Now, for after trading of commodities and gold, I'm all for it. Diversification of products can strengthen our position as a world financial market, and we can also offer trading in renminbi. And risk management, according to the Hong Kong X paper, it will carry out monitoring of the market, and it says that it is not seen any market manipulation in places like Japan and Singapore. But I don't think there are sufficient data here, and there are still risks. I hope the relevant regulators can strictly monitor unreasonable volatility, so as not to avoid price fluctuations in the spot market on the next day. Effectiveness. Now, extending the trading hours of Hong Kong X is not really useful. In 1996, SGX launched Nikkei 225 trading. In October 2010, on an hourly basis, the trading was less than 10%. It was just 9% of the daily trading volume. And whereas trading hours at night is 5 times that of the daytime trading. This is not fair. Are you asking brokerages to choose the services of other companies, or do you want to fold up earlier? So I am against the proposal. We hope Hong Kong X can consult different sectors of the industry. Thank you. Mr. Alvin Zhang. Thank you, Chairman. We support Hong Kong X proposal to start AHFT. At the beginning, we had reservations for the proposal, but because of the following considerations, we've decided to support this new measure, because we believe AHFT will help brokers to tap new business. Hong Kong X has already bought LME, and we believe that very soon there will be different futures products available, and AHFT will set up a trading platform for such futures products, and we look forward to more business. And the trading hours will overlap slightly with Europe and the US, and people can then manage their risk, the risk position. So it will also help us to manage the risk exposures of our clients. And this proposal will provide more jobs for practitioners in the financial services sector, and therefore we are for AHFT. Thank you. Mr. Louis Mack, iAccess Group Limited. Madam Chair, members, good afternoon. I am the Chief Executive Officer of iAccess Group. It offers investor services for retail investors. We'd like to express the views of our clients towards AHFT. Earlier this year, we conducted a questionnaire survey. 735 responses were received. Over 7% of them supported AHFT, consistent with the findings of Hong Kong X consultation. It goes to show that most investors are in support of AHFT. As regards risk management or the price limit, we asked whether 5% was adequate. Over 75% of them felt that it was appropriate. Hong Kong X drew up this price limit, making references with other markets. So this is an established criteria and has been proven by volatilities in the market. It will start with a percentage not yet tested, then will we be regarded as superfluous? Using 5% as a starting point, if we change it after the introduction of HFT, will not be criticized by other markets. Now, we cannot just do what we like without regard to what other markets are doing. So IXS is of the view that 5% is a right starting point. Thank you. Ms. Alan Poon. Good afternoon, Chairman and members. My company and myself have started providing a trading for futures as soon as electronic transactions started. Well, I was baffled by many remarks expressed this afternoon, but I will go back to my opinion. Well, if you have HFT, it's just like having a drugstore open at night. Why? Because if you suddenly have a stomach ache or a fever at night, won't you be happy if there is a drugstore for you to buy drugs? Or you may say that, well, it's none of my business if you have a stomach ache. So I fail to understand why the objection. If we have after-hour trading, well, if all of a sudden there is news, please do not first think of market manipulation. Now, retail investors can at once hedge their risks. Now, if at night you have never have the feeling of wanting to kill yourself, you might as well buy some futures, index, hold it overnight. Now, for us, we will come around the clock trading, not just until 11 p.m. Regarding volatilities or the price limit, well, if you go to a drugstore and the proprietor told you that, well, you want one pill, I can't give you a full pill, what about half a pill? You will abuse him verbally, because half a pill would not cure you at all. So I think 5% is reasonable. As regards risk management, we've been in this business for many years, and I think the futures trader is the first to bear the brunt. Will not be so silly as to connive our customers to speculate on futures or indices. We'll ask them to suspend trading or to cut their position at once. Now, whether we are talking about online arrangement or our task force, well, we can make use of internet backing, so on and so forth. Now, the stock supply of drugstores is not unlimited. We have a position limit, and SFC would also monitor what we're doing. We cannot do whatever we like. So HFT is just like a nighttime drugstore, so I hope you will support us. Next, Mr. David Friedland.
Interactive Brokers supports the Hong Kong Exchange proposal to offer after-hours futures trading in Hong Kong. Interactive Brokers has been in business for over 36 years and has operated in Hong Kong since 1995. We conduct our broker-dealer and proprietary trading business on over 100 market destinations worldwide. We execute nearly 1 million trades per day, making us perhaps the largest fully electronic broker worldwide. We've been successfully offering after-hours trading for years on numerous exchanges globally and even locally in Hong Kong. After-hours trading in Hong Kong is not a regulatory issue, as it is already being offered by the Hong Kong Mercantile Exchange. It is an operational issue and one that needs to be addressed in order to compete on a global basis. There is a large demand for after-hours trading, and as we note from our clientele, there already are a substantial number of Hong Kong residents who trade the global markets overnight. We do not agree with the objections to this proposal voiced by others. I'll discuss a few. Those objecting cite market manipulation and excessive price moves as a grave concern. This is a similar argument that was made when the Hong Kong Future Exchange first proposed electronic trading around 1996. In simple terms, futures are a derivative based upon an underlying asset. If the price of the future deviates too much from the underlying asset, market forces will take advantage of the mispricing and trade it back into line. For this reason, you rarely see any issue on the overnight future markets that trade elsewhere. It is also important to note that market manipulation is illegal. Those attempting such behavior are subject to the scrutiny of the exchange and regulators. If proven guilty, they can be subject to criminal prosecution. The Hong Kong Future Exchange already has in place an error range and has the ability to bust trades that are outliers. The industry norm is also to have overnight caps that exceed 5%, and initial margin levels protect the broker against large moves and are already greater than the 5% cap suggested by the exchange. Our experience has shown manipulation and allowing market forces to determine pricing are not issues. In addition, Hong Kong ADRs and ETFs already are trading overnight and already provide a benchmark against the futures. Cost. It is true that there are additional operating costs associated with offering after-hours trading, but many in Hong Kong already are operating overnight desks. It thus becomes a business decision as to whether or not you offer this service. In the U.S., for example, where there are very large after-hours volume, there are still a number of name-brand brokers who do not offer this service. To them, it is obviously not worth the cost. However, just because some firms do not believe it will add to their bottom line does not mean Hong Kong should put on blinders and fail to compete on the global landscape. Interactive Brokers is confident that the positives far outweigh the negatives. The increased visibility of after-hours futures will address market demand, increase the visibility of Hong Kong on the global stage, and will be a net benefit to the local economy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. 下一位係香港。
Thank you. Next, Mr. Patrick Lam, Hong Kong Securities and Futures Employees Union. Good afternoon, members and chairmen of the panel. I'm Patrick Lam from Hong Kong Securities and Futures Employees Union. Mr. Chun Pui Chung, the previous representative of the financial subsector raised objection to HFT, and Mr. Zhang Wai-chung, the incumbent member in the FC, also opposes. I think they are veterans in this sector. Why have they raised objection? Because I think it's rubbing. I think it will deal another blow to our sector by introducing HFT. It would also affect financial stability. So we have a few suggestions. First, there will be more serious market manipulation with HFT. Will further dampen investors' desire to invest in securities. Because as we all know, there is already serious manipulation in the market with HFT. Investors will be deterred from investing because they will reduce the investment amount to avoid loss. And the margin calls, well, as mentioned by members, well, if we have HFT and with the price limit set at plus or minus 5% now, if it is a normal market, why do you have to set a price limit? Because we are all of the view that there can be excessive price fluctuation, and therefore there must be a price limit set. And at night, because people are very sensitive now, if the market is falling at night, a margin call would affect the trust between brokerages and clients, and also add to the operating costs of the former. And operationally, it's difficult. Now, a deputation talked about a nighttime drugstore. No, it is in fact a trap. It will increase the gambling sense of the investment market. You know, for futures, it is more speculative than the equities market. With HFT, we will just fuel speculation or gambling in the market, and also affect people's confidence. HFT would bring limited benefit to local brokerages, and would also affect the livelihood of practitioners. Unless you think that Hong Kong will continue to be the world's largest ATM for speculators, or else you really have to tread cautiously.
Mr. Chan, thank you. I'm speaking on behalf of Bright Smart Securities. The Hong Kong Exchange proposal of after-hours trading, we have always supported that. And as far as we know, according to the Hong Kong Exchange consultation, 80% of participants in this industry support this proposal. And we feel there is a reason to support it. Well, first, We have globalization. The local equities market has already attracted a lot of foreign funds and is a boon for business. And we can attract more investors investing in Hong Kong, and that would promote the development of the Hong Kong industry. It can enhance our income. It allows a sustainable development. So our colleagues should support it 100%, but there are still some people who perhaps have not even participated in the market. They have a very low trading volume, and they don't want to spend time and resources. And they don't want their colleagues to succeed. They would rather everybody not engage in this business. So they are not benefiting anybody, and they create some obstacles to Hong Kong's development. Second, extending trading hours can actually manage risks. It's not, as the objectives say, where risk is added. That's a misunderstanding and misleading. Just now somebody said after the stock market closes, after 4:30, external volatility will lead to large selling orders the next morning, and that would add to volatility. But with a night trading, after-hours trading, investors can have more time to respond. They can have stop loss, and it can actually reduce risk. As a matter of fact, our company supports extension of after hours. In fact, we would like 24 hours trading. That would reduce risk and would move us closer to global practice. Third, having the 5% price limit, it should not be lowered. If you were to lower it, then we might as well not do it in the first place. If the 5% is reduced and lead to no trading, no transaction, it cannot attract investors, it cannot provide a hedging function, then it would turn a good idea into a bad idea. And it would also be more easily subject to manipulation. So legislators, you should not reduce the 5% price limit. Mr. Hui, I'm an industry participant, and I support after-hours trading, and I support the 5% price limit. If there were after-hours trading, then securities business hours would extend, and we would have more opportunities to make money. It's like a convenience store, 7-Eleven. The harder you work, the more money you make. And it is popular with consumers, and so we now see even traditional supermarkets operating 24 hours. So extending after hours futures trading, if this were adopted, then securities professionals would have extra job opportunities. I have been in this industry for 20 years, and I see a lot of securities companies not wanting to invest, and they have to close their business. Some people have even changed trades. They've become taxi drivers, and even they also work in logistics, and that's because securities companies don't want to adopt to change. Thank you very much. Next, we have Mr. Vincent Mack.
Affairs. Nomura supports the exchange proposal to introduce after-hours futures trading. Firstly, rising to international standards. It is urgent and necessary for Hong Kong Exchange to have in place trading conditions that match leading exchanges worldwide and cater to rising demand from global investors. This would help market participants such as ourselves to meet the trading needs of our clients and thereby support the growth of our trading and brokerage franchise. Major futures exchanges have been offering after-hours trading for years. The ample levels of liquidity available in these markets have meant that we have never encountered any excessive volatility issues whilst trading during the T+1 session. Furthermore, As a precautionary measure, we believe that Hong Kong Exchange proposed price limit of 5% during after-hours futures trading would address concerns about potential excessive price movement. Secondly, minimizing gap risk. We noted that there is client demand for managing risk exposure during European and US trading hours to take into account events or news in those time zones. In the absence of Hong Kong futures trading, clients have been using S&P futures as a proxy. This is obviously far from a perfect hedge, and the rollout of after-hours futures trading would allow investors to manage their risk exposure more efficiently and minimize their gap risk. Thirdly, business growth at no incremental cost. Nomura has fully operational night trading desk to support clients who trade the European and US markets, as well as the evening trading sessions of other Asian exchanges. The addition of the Hong Kong market will not incur additional cost. We already have risk management measures and funding arrangements in place to handle client margin calls. Last but not least, we are confident that after-hours futures trading will ultimately attract more business opportunities to the Hong Kong futures industry, which will in turn benefit Hong Kong as an international financial center and enhance its economic growth. We trust you concur with our views, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you. 梁先生。
多謝主席。本人代表法國巴黎銀行全力。
I'm speaking on behalf of BNP Paribas, and I support the after-hours trading. First of all, globalization and competition. Hong Kong needs to face global competition, and we need to have after-hours trading. This is an important step in handling competition. For example, in CME, the Australian exchange, the Singapore exchange, and the Osaka exchange, they have already started after-hours trading. If Hong Kong does not move with the times, then our status might be subject to change. So we need to shorten the gap between global practice. We need to avoid being marginalized, and we need to be able to respond to events in the US and Europe. So if we don't move with the times, we might lose our investors, and the investors might move into different markets. We have the shortest trading hours. We only have 5.5 hours. It's much less than our competitors. So introducing after-hours trading, extending trading hours, if you look at overseas experience, it would lead to more transactions, and that will enhance Hong Kong's futures exchange status. We can also support the sale of different products. So in the long term, it will pave the path for renminbi-based products. The development of offshore renminbi products and allowing of after-hours trading would allow the Hong Kong exchange to attract more investors in this area. Second, regarding risk management, the global markets are interconnected. The European-American markets, significant events will impact the Asian markets, including Hong Kong. During the European and American time zone, if there is any significant financial news, currently Hong Kong investors cannot hedge their positions. So investors can respond to changes if there is after-hours trading. The price limit of 5% is sufficient. If there were further narrowing, it would affect the market liquidity, and the limits it would be very frequent. It would impede normal operations. So overall speaking, we feel that introducing after-hours trading is conducive to the securities business. Okay, thank you for providing your views. I'd like members to take note that besides the 22 deputations that attended this event, we've also received a lot of request to attend this event, but since they had only applied after the deadline and because of time considerations they could not attend, but they had submitted their written submissions. So we have in fact received 40-odd written submissions. So I suggest the Financial and Treasury Bureau respond, and then Hong Kong Exchange can also respond to the submissions that you have received. Okay? Well, after receiving the different views, the Exchange had prepared a document. I won't go in depth, but I'll have Exchange colleagues respond briefly. Yes, especially could you respond to after-hours trading bearing more risk? Could you specifically respond to that as well? Thank you, Chairman. Just now we heard from industry representatives, and one concern was risk management. Setting up after-hours futures trading is a new development. From the Exchange point of view, this is a new type of business and it's a new concern. It's not an old issue. So we had consulted with the industry and we came up with measures to deal with the risk. For example, they have some capital-based margin requirements to limit the size of transactions. We also talked about the 5% price limits to control risk. And third, banks do not operate after hours, so regarding margin calls or mark-to-market arrangements, there is a special arrangement. We have a new arrangement, and they will do the calculations, and we also have real-time monitoring of the market. The SFC will also monitor the market in real time to look at whether there is extraordinary activity. Well, the Exchange has also set some margin suggestions. It's not arbitrary. They have a risk calculation that is reviewed regularly. So with market volatility, they will notify their members of the changes, if any. So all these measures are made in order to introduce after-hours trading. There's also other arrangements in the spot cash market. For example, last year in the third, fourth quarter, the Exchange has strengthened risk management measures. So there is follow-up on a regular basis. So Hong Kong's risk control is actually in line with global practice. So we feel the Exchange is doing its job.
Hong Kong X. Can your representative respond? Which one, please?
Okay.
I'll say some brief things. Thank you, Chairman and panel members. I'd like to go back to the consultation we had in 2011 and reiterate that we had a very large majority of support from the industry in Hong Kong. And furthermore, that very large majority has recently tested our systems and are now prepared to go live with after-hours futures trading. Our plan is to introduce this in March, subject to the SFC's approval. A lot's been said about volatility, risk, and manipulation, and I think most of that has been answered, and it's covered in the papers, but we'd be happy to answer questions about that. And I'd also just like to reiterate the competitiveness of Hong Kong as a major consideration here. CME is trading renminbi futures 23 hours a day. Singapore is due to trade A-share futures for 16 hours a day. Our proposal is 12 hours a day. And I think it's inevitable that we can lose our own business if we don't respond to these challenges. Most of our brokers know how to do this already. They know how to manage the risk. They're trading, most of them at night now already. So they're well familiar with what we're proposing. Thank you.
好，
All right. 6 members have indicated the intention to speak. Sin Chung Kai, Cheong Wang Fong, Wong Kok Heng, Cham Kam Lam, and Andrew Leung and James Toh. Mr. Sin Chung Kai. Well, having heard the pros and cons of the proposal, I think they have their point, and I'd like to ask the Hong Kong X a question. In the past few decades, we have seen a few turmoils and crises. For instance, the 9/11 incident, the Lehman Brothers, and also the European debt crisis. And then for the 9/11 incident, it was a very acute situation, and then trading was immediately suspended. Assuming that we have HFT, have you done any stress test to see how now in Hong Kong how we can respond? Have you done any analysis? Have you done any simulation? And what will be the impacts of such incidents on Hong Kong? My question for the SFC is now, I actually can't say I understand everything involved in the proposal, although I will try my best. For many investors in futures, and many of them I might have invested in daytime trading, and then after the market is closed, they will go to bed. Is it true that after we have HFT, this group of investors have no choice but to join after hours trading as well? Some say that, well, if you don't like AHFT, you don't have to trade. But for people accustomed to daytime trading, is it true that they are compelled to trade in AHFT? What are the points to note for these investors, retail investors? Of course, you say that market participants or investors have to bear their own risk, but how can you warn these participants of the risks involved? And lastly, what will be the standards adopted by SFC to approve products? Representatives from SFC? Thank you, Mr. Sin, for your question. Volatilities in the external market or in the external environment leading to a crisis or tension in our market. Well, I think there is a table submitted by Hong Kong X in 2005 to 2011. There were a few turmoils in between, and you can see that table. Comparing the daily opening hour prices and previous closing prices. Now for HSI, there was only one occasion where the difference was higher than 5%, and for HHI futures, there were 4 occasions. So Hong Kong X would review. They have mechanism to review the risks in the market in deciding the margins. Well, the margin amount will change with market situations. The price limit is set at negative or minus 5% to cater for sharp volatilities in the market for better risk management. regarding reminder to investors, retail investors. Now, for investors now doing daytime trading, they have to note the implications of AHFT to them. If they think that the risks are too high, then they may just decide to close their position so as to avoid the risk. So there must be good cooperation between the brokers and also the investors. And the former have to understand the risk appetite or the risk exposure of the clients to manage the new situation. And of course, we have to educate the investors. And your time is up, I'm afraid. Okay. Mr. Zhang Wafeng? Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe most SMEs are very aggressive. They attach a lot of significance to risk management and also put investors' interest first. So AHFT proposal has aroused a lot of concern from the sector, given that there is no spot market to hedge the risk. There can be a lot of risk, and some feel that the price limit set at 5% is too much. Of course, AHFT will help investors to use futures index to hedge their risk, but there is no ruling out the possibility that large investors or institution investors use that to manipulate the market, leading to great loss on the part of investors. Whenever we had a financial incident, it was investors who suffered. To allay the concern of the public, I'd like to ask the SFC whether they have a proper monitoring mechanism to ensure that there will be no market manipulation. And is there sufficient contingency plan in place to deal with crisis? If yes, can you give us the details? And we're told that the price limit of 5% is appropriate. Now, currently, the index is about 1,100, but it can sharply rise to 2,000 overnight. So I'd like to ask the SFC, why does it think that 5% is appropriate? How is it calculated? And will there be a regular review of this 5%? All right, please be more succinct. I think the SFC has always to be vigilant as to whether there is any market manipulation. As soon as trading opens, there is a procedure or mechanism for SFC to monitor the market, and that applies to Hong Kong X as well. Regarding risk management, the Hong Kong X has introduced new risk management measures. For instance, margin calls, price limit of positive negative 5%, and position limit. These are new measures. Regarding the 5% price limit, please, Hong Kong X, explain why have they come to this figure? Chairman and members, this 5%, there's been a lot of discussion, and there are views that this is too limited. Some say that if it is capped at 5%, we might as well not have it at all. Well, I think the figure has been worked out on an objective basis. First, every day, we ask for enough margin to cater for overnight volatility. So 6% is already the minimum. If there is great volatility in the market and we keep it at 5%, well, this is it corresponds to the minimum margin requirement of 6%, and the the usual requirement is in the range of 6 to 20%. In other markets, we've chosen the floor. So we have initially there was no price limit, and we have introduced it in response to concerns expressed. Mr. Wong Kok-heng, I think this discussion is very strange. The accountable officer, Professor Chen, has left, and the PS responsible has also left. The most senior government official here present is the Deputy Secretary. With due respect, Mr. Zhang, you passed all questions to Mr. Lui from SFC to answer questions. Now we'll talk about the security and stability of a financial market. This is such a big issue. Do you think you can shoulder this heavy responsibility? Now, if we are to make a decision after just a few minutes discussion, it is irresponsible because even the accountable officer has left. How can that be? And secondly, Chairman, among the 20 deputations that have spoken, 8 were very strongly against AHFT 12 with 4. So SFC, given the polarized views, now let's not discuss the merits of their positions, but because of this very polarized views, how can you accept Hong Kong Act's proposal? Won't your decision be taken too rashly? And are you trying to avoid the facts? And thirdly, Mr. Lui, you mentioned a few measures. I don't think you have addressed the concerns raised by people opposing this proposal. Now, Mr. Zhang, you are the most senior government official here, but you are just the acting PAS. Do you think you can shoulder this very heavy responsibility? Mr. Zhang, the administration has worked very closely with SFC, and under the Securities and Futures Ordinance, SFC has to monitor the operation of the market very prudently and also to monitor the risk management. And Hong Kong Act, no, Mr. Zhang, can you allow him to finish his response first? No, the most senior, well, the accountable secretary is not here, and even the PS has left deliberately. Is this the behavior of a responsible government? Mr. J. Zhang, please continue. Under the ordinance, SFC has a role to play in monitoring the operation of Hong Kong X and also the market. And the administration has always worked with the SFC. The administration attaches a lot of significance to risk management in the market, and we support all measures that can enhance our competitiveness and improve the quality of our market to ensure that there is balance in that can be proper risk management. To put it short, is it that the administration has accepted the proposal already, and does it think that the risk management is already satisfactory? Hong Kong Act has conducted a full consultation exercise, and last year we came here to introduced the latest proposals in relation to HFT, and then last December we also reported to the panel on latest development. This afternoon we have heard a lot of comments, and I believe in mapping out the details, the Hong Kong Act has tried to balance the views of different sectors. Regarding risk management, I think SFC Hong Kong Act have taken into account the views expressed.
The government supports these measures that will enhance the finance industry. Time's up. We'll move on. Chen Gamlam. Chairman, I've heard the argument from both sides. We're very concerned about market risks. Just now, Mr. Zhang responded on the measures taken up by Hong Kong Exchange and SFC. So, Mr. Zhang, the SFC measures, are they sufficient to deal with the risks involved? Could you respond? Well, regarding risk control, we believe the Hong Kong Exchange, in designing the risk control measures, they have applied their professional knowledge. The SFC, in vetting this proposal, would have considered risk control measures, whether these measures are effective. So SFC, in approving the after-hours trading, they would have considered all risk control measures, and they would have approved. Well, for the frontline participants, Mr. Chen Kai-fong and his colleagues feel that it should be okay. There should be no problem. So with the introduction of after-hours trading, you work more, you earn more, like 7-Eleven, and risks could be hedged. And so I'd like to ask the two frontline workers, do you feel that this market risk can be handled? You are asking Mr. Zheng and Mr. Chan. Would you like to respond? Mr. Zheng, T.Y. Mr. Alvin Zheng. So without after-hours trading, well, America and Europe will continue their trading. So even without after-hours trading, the next morning, when the Hong Kong market opens, they will still be affected by Europe and the U.S. We talked about the Lehman incident, the 9/11, and we see in the next morning when the markets open in Hong Kong, there is a big price gap. But with after-hours trading in the overlapping time with the U.S. and Europe, so before there's a sharp drop, clients or investors might be able to close their books, square their positions, so it would be helpful in risk control. Mr. Chan, do you have a short response? Well, the so-called risk, it doesn't mean that without after-hours trading we don't have risks during the day. We are strictly monitored by SFC and the exchange. We need to take investor margins, we need to have capital. So during the day, well, day trade and night trade, there's no difference. In fact, during after-hours trading, investors can do hedging, and we feel they can manage their risk more flexibly. Well, thank you for providing your views. We do have very diverse views. So I'd like to ask Mr. Loy and Mr. Zhang. You talked about what Hong Kong Exchange will do, but you're speaking from the perspective of SFC. Well, I don't want anything to happen. Mr. Zhang is from the government. You're saying that Hong Kong X is very professional. You have your complete trust in SFC, and when things go bust, you'll say it's not my problem. It's the SFC in Hong Kong X. Well, if we extend the trading hours, there's more risk. Then we see that you're just passing the buck between the three of you. Nobody is bearing responsibility. So SFC, you're the final regulator. The government is a policy bureau. So the two of you need to state your position. You can't tell the retail investor that everything is recorded, and he's declared his position. So, well, you can't shift the blame. I'm not opposing you, but you need to state clearly in LegCo who's responsible. We don't want anything to go south, but we need to understand how the risk will be handled. So SFC and the administration. SFC, well, this is actually a division of labor between SFC and the exchange. SFC regulates the exchange, and one part is to look at proposals. We'll look at it in detail. We'll see whether it's reasonable, what the market view is, and then we'll make the final decision. We're the gatekeeper. The exchange is the market operator. They have a system in place. So the risk control measures, the actual day-to-day operations are handled by the exchange. Well, the exchange makes money. I'm a exchange stockholder. The regulator doesn't make money. You're just the money maker. The money-making business, at one extreme, they'll do whatever it takes, but the regulator, you're the final gatekeeper. Under the securities ordinance, even though the exchange is a commercial operation, but they also deal with public interest. So they also, well, how much business can be done is only comes second. They have to regulate their business. So do you think the risk control measures in place are sufficient? Mr. Chow? The acting principal assistant secretary. Well, I'd like to respond to the legislator's question. Market stability, risk control, and investor protection, we deal with this. So our division of labor with the SFC and exchange, under the law, SFC has its role to monitor a Hong Kong exchange. I'd like to extend the meeting another 15 minutes. We have James To and myself with questions. Anybody else? And Mr. James To. I have to thank the deputations for attending. My question is, let's say, did you draft this submission yourself, Miss Lau? Are you referring to Miss Low? Fuji Hong Kong Commodities. The exchange had some sample letters. Well, I see in the submissions, some 7 or 8 of them are exactly the same. Some have deleted a paragraph, some have added a paragraph, and they say that this is from the investor perspective, and then there's another perspective, and even we have one submission on price limit. They're essentially the same. So I have the impression. So I'd like to ask the exchange, why do you design sample letters and ask the industry to copy different paragraphs out of the template? Do you admit that you have this template exchange? Well, we have discussed this with the industry for a long time, and we are aware that they have their views, and we have written down these views, and our supporters they would like to have a convenient way to submit their views. I don't think it's the wording that's important. It's they are responsible for the contents of their submissions. Of course, they put their signature to it. But it's very rarely seen where government would take such an approach to elicit industry views. Well, I'm not sure what the government stance is, but the exchange, handling the consultation in this manner, I think it's very disappointing. You need to tell Charles Lee, whoever designed this template is accountable. You can't give the industry some sample letters, some templates. That's very strange. You said you summarize their views and allow them to submit their views. Well, that's very clear. We've heard your views. Well, the exchange or SFC or the government could answer this question. So the deputations that attended this meeting are very concerned about financial stability. Could you confirm that there's no financial stability concern that we have? You also said that you will step up the margin requirements to 6% and so on. So does that mean, well, your volatility is only 5%, so you don't need extra margin calls? Is that correct? Mr. Loy? In risk control, we had responded that the exchange risk control system is sufficient. Well, I think the financial security we're talking about, let's say there's a sharp drop in the index futures, and then we'll see the spot market fall respectively. So we're talking about the whole Hong Kong financial community stability. So what are we referring to? That is, let's say a sharp drop where they cannot adhere to their responsibilities and that lead to a system failure. Well, risk control, an important part of risk control is having the margins, a reserve fund that can protect against default by large players. The exchange can still take the loss and continue its operations. So before the market starts, let's say there is a fear that stocks will fall. So ultimately, investors' funds are at stake. So having after-hours trading and not having after-hours trading, if there is a sharp drop, then everybody will be rushing to square their books. So I think we're talking about a bigger risk then. Well, if the market needs to adjust, there's bad news, then it will do so. The next morning, it will adjust. So we're just giving investors a choice whether they want to manage the risk step by step, or they could wait till the next morning. So their risk control can be spread out. Well, operating up till 11 p.m. Hong Kong, well, it's only half an hour into American trading hours. Well, other countries operate 23 hours. We need to progress step by step in Hong Kong. Well, if you're going to do extra hours, you should have longer hours. And if you have 6% requirements, do you do not need margin calls? Who can take up that question?
It's about the margin. We set our margins based on the very worst historical circumstances, so it includes 9/11. It includes overnight risk as well as intraday risks. And it's the very worst situations we've ever seen. And it's not just 5 or 6%. Those are the bare minimums. Typically, they're quite a bit higher and often much higher, up to 16 or more percent when the market's volatile. So often more than 5 or 6, but the 5 or 6 cover the vast 99.97% of historical movements. And then there are cushions baked into the client margin to cover the rest, and we have reserve and guarantee funds built on top of that, as well as the capital of our members and capital-based position limits. It's quite robust. We're confident in its ability to cover what we've seen historically, but who knows, what we might see tomorrow. But there's no reason to think the after hours will make things worse, because whatever happens at night, in the absence of after hours, is going to be reflected the next morning. Thank you.
OK， 咁就到我提問啦。咁我其實都好清楚聽到正反。
Now it's my turn, so I've heard the views from parties for and against the proposal. I'm very grateful that you stay so late here in LegCo to take part in this examination. This discussion. I have discussed with some participants. They, of course, object to AHFT, and they believe that if it has to be done, then the price limit should be confined to 2.5 or 3 or 4%. I'd like to know whether this proposal can help to reduce risk, and I'd like to know whether the three parties will consider this possibility. Can someone respond, please, Mr. Zhang? This price limit of 5%, well, we have provided a lot of explanation this afternoon. Will Hong Kong X consider changing the price limit to 5 to 2.5%? I think it's already pointed out in their paper that they have a basis for fixing that, and for the time being, they have no intention to change that. Still, the proposal is from Hong Kong X, and it is for SFC to approve. That means the Bureau has no views. Have you ever assessed whether this is right? Well, the most important thing is how the plus or minus 5% is arrived at, and how it corresponds to risk management. Based on what Hong Kong X said today and in its paper, this 5% is appropriate, and there are also views on the market supporting this. And so the Bureau will not be involved in the Hong Kong X decision, whether it should be 5% or otherwise. SFC? Hong Kong X doesn't arrive at this figure arbitrarily. And it will also monitor whether this is the right percentage. So we believe this price limit of 5% is appropriate now. So you think that 3% is inappropriate? So as I said, it's a balance set by the industry. If it is set too high, too low, it will bring problems as well. So as SFC doesn't support it to be lower than 3%. What about Hong Kong X?
Thank you, Chairman. We set the 5%. First, it was we didn't have a limit before, and many markets don't. But the commentators on our paper suggested a limit and suggested 5%. We went backwards to see how often the market moves 5% or more, and it's roughly 4 or 5 times a year. If we go down to lower levels, like 2.5 or 3, it's more than 20 times a year. So in those cases, we'd have the market really shutting off when people need it the most. And you could also have a sort of a rush to the exits as well in those circumstances. So the way that people can hedge with this would be seriously impaired if we go too low on the limit. So we thought 5 would ease some investors' concerns that it can't move more than that, but to serve its hedging purposes, it's still meaningful. Thank you.
係，最後黃國興議員，我俾1分鐘時間你好嗎？
主席
Mr. Wong, 2 minutes, please. Chairman, you have to consider how you're going to lead this panel to deal with this matter, because as we can see, there is no accountable officer here. The most senior civil servant is absent as well. And as pointed out, the submissions were made on the basis of a template provided by Hong Kong X. and this affects our basis of discussion. There is conflict of interest on the part of Hong Kong X, and is also making up public opinion. So, are we satisfied with these views expressed by the industry, given that Hong Kong X has provided a template for them? If we accept SFC and the administration's position and allow Hong Kong X to start AHFT in March, I believe it is very inappropriate and irresponsible. Chairman, now, I'm not a member of this panel. I am strongly against this proposal. But for members of this panel who are present, they've also got strong views. No one has expressed support for the administration, the SFC, and the Hong Kong X. No one has said that the decision by them is appropriate. Given the circumstances, Chairman, you must lead this panel to reopen the discussion of this issue. And we hope SFC and Hong Kong X will shelve the plan of implementing that in March. Mr. Wong, your time is up. Mr. Wong, so I think you have heard Mr. Wong very clearly. It's time for us to conclude this discussion. Indeed, there are views for and against the proposal, and the difficulty we face is, according to my understanding, if there is no change to the plan, AHFT will start in March. I'd like to know whether SFC has already given its approval. Not yet? All right, then the critical point is approval by SFC. So you have heard views for and against the proposal. I'd like to ask the Bureau, what is your position? Will you just leave everything to the SFC because you've heard the submissions as well? Well, we have heard many comments this afternoon. Even previously, we were aware of different views. In fact, the administration will not interfere with the SFC's day-to-day operation and its role in monitoring Hong Kong X. All right, Vice Chairman, your views? LegCo is not here to call halt to what the administration is doing. Now, we have the three parties present. I think they have heard the concerns of the industry. I think they should give due consideration to these views, and you are to be accountable for your decision. It's not for us to go hold to your program, and if you have anything uncertain, it is your responsibility to keep this dialogue up with the industry. So we understand the position of the Vice Chairman. Well, the panel has not asked the SFC Hong Kong X to stop the implementation of this plan. But as you've seen, the industry is divided. So I urge the SFC to understand the concerns of the industry before giving its approval. In particular, members are very concerned about risk management. True, HFT will certainly increase business, but is risk management properly in place? And if there is any incident, SFC Hong Kong X or the administration cannot wash its hands off. So we urge Hong Kong X to discuss with stakeholders opposing this proposal to see whether this matter can be dealt with properly. Well, March is very close. I hope you can give a report to this council before that, right? Mr. Wong, just one word to you, Madam Chair. No matter what, the minutes must record the queries of members present this afternoon, and that the administration, the SFC and Hong Kong X have not give very clear answers to these queries. So we urge the relevant parties to be cautious and think twice. So I hope you have heard members' views. I hope you can give serious considerations to views expressed by members and also stakeholders and deputations that are against your proposal. Rest assured, Mr. Wong, we're going to reflect very faithfully what was spoken this afternoon in the minutes. So shall we leave it at that? Thank you, Madam Chair. We will certainly consider views expressed by members and the industry this afternoon, and FSC will give due consideration to these views. Madam Chair, you asked whether we can provide supplementary information after the examination. Yes, we will certainly do that. All right. Then the meeting time is up. Thank you very much, representatives from the sector, for your attendance. I thank members and the team from the administration for staying behind until this moment. I hope that there can be good communication between the two sides, because Hong Kong, being a financial center, needs the two parties to cooperate and communicate, and there must be due consultation and communication with the stakeholders, because some stakeholders indeed have views about how the SFC did it in the past. So please step up communication with the industry. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.